When you get started drawing your nose, definitely look at your reference picture and kind of judge the shape of each of the nostrils. And before continuing this video, make sure that you pause it and draw your before picture of the nose, and try your best to draw it as detailed as possible. And then we're gonna move on when you're finished and start looking at some of the basic steps of drawing your nose. But to get started, keep it as simple as possible. Remember to start with all circles and simple shapes, and then continue to look at the details and outline the contour of the nose. So the first step with drawing your nose is, like I said, a circle. And this circle is going to represent the width of the nose. So I started on the sketchbook here and just drew an oval. So the circle is a little bit wider than it is tall. And again, that's to represent this portion of the nose here. So you can see it just creates a little bit of a circle from the left to the right nostril. And then as you continue, you're going to outline where the sides of the nose are going to be. So I just drew 2 lines on either side, just as a quick basis. And then I'm going to pause this here. And the next step is adding 3 smaller circles to represent each part of the nose. So I started and I drew 1 circle, smaller circle in the middle of that larger circle. So that's representing this middle portion of the nose here. And then on either side, I drew 2 smaller circles, and it's going to depend on the reference picture or the nose that you're drawing, whether those 2 circles on the outside are above or below or even with the bottom of the middle circle. So looking at this reference picture here, the outside of the nose is going to be above the bottom of the middle of the nose here. So you can just kind of draw a line straight across and see both of those are above the middle circle. So when I draw those 2 circles, I am drawing them just slightly above to keep that width the same. And then from there, I'm going to start adding in a little bit of detail. So it's easy to just kind of follow the contour of the 3 circles that you have outlined, with a line to represent where the nostrils of the nose will be. So if you're looking at the reference picture on the left here, I'm following this contour. So I'm following the outside of the left nose. I'm bringing that up for where the middle part of the nose is going to be, back down for the bottom part of the nose, and then up for the right nostril. So I'm just following that same contour on the actual drawing. And you also want to make sure that you're really just following the circles. So keep it easy, follow the outside of that circle on the left, and then when you get to the one in the middle, you're just bringing it down. So it's really easy to just follow those 3 circles that you have. And then from there, I am going to outline the darkest shadows of the nostrils. So make sure that you have those outlined. And I'm going to begin to look at more highlights and shadows. So just like with the contour project, you want to look at all the details that you can before you start shading or before you get too far. So I'm not even looking or thinking about the fact that it's a nose, but I'm just looking at it like any other object, and I'm going in with light circles for where I'm going to put highlights and where the shadows are going to go. So look at the outside of the nose here, has a little bit of a highlight. And then kind of the outside on the other edges are going to be highlights too. So I'm lightly outlining, and then I'm starting to fill things in. So anywhere that is not a highlight or a shadow is going to be just a medium value. So you can almost shade everything in other than your highlights and shadows first, just kind of lightly filling in that space. And then you can also move into the darkest areas, so the darker shadows, and fill those in. Just make sure that they are darker than the rest of the nose or the medium tone values. You can almost use those darker shadows to just blend out into the medium tones. And again, I'm leaving those highlights white, which is what's going to give that nose some form and dimension. And then I would use your eraser to go back in over some of the highlights. You want to make sure you don't have too dark of lines outlining your highlights, so that can help to kind of outline or erase the outline, and then go back and kind of shade in a little bit with it. Then I'm going in and touching up a few other areas of highlight that I maybe went over a little too much when I was blending the charcoal. So I'm filling that in and just touching up some of the details and then looking underneath the nose as well. So it's important to look at that shadow underneath the nose, and that's going to help to make the nose look like it's in that space on the face that you're drawing. So again, going over some of the shadows, making them a little bit darker, touching up areas of the nostril there underneath, and blending things out, making it a smooth transition from the shadows into the medium tones and then into the highlights. So I'm making that shadow fade out a bit so you can see on the face here where it's super dark and then it fades out. So make sure you are trying your best to blend and fade the shadows. So here is the end result with the nose. Again, if you need to maybe pause this video or go back to just watching one step at a time and pausing it, that could help versus watching the whole thing and trying it out all at once. So maybe go back and play the first and second step and then try those out.